Okay, today is Saturday, July 3rd. This is day 8 of the fire aftermath. And I wanted to make this video to document what I'm doing to the residents, and then also for various other purposes. For example, if you look up at the roof, the downspout, I was told by the roofer, the downspout isn't positioned correctly. It's right on the flashing, whereas it should be extended down the roof about a foot. So that revealed some damage. I had noticed a mark in the ceiling right below that in the living room that was indicative of water damage. I just wasn't sure where it was coming from. So I did talk to Mark Anderson, and he acknowledged it and told me to have it fixed and submit the invoice to the Homeowners Association for payment. So anyway, continuing, what I did the rest of the week was I tore off the sheathing I tore off the roof about 2 feet from the eave. And I did that to get ready for the new roofing project. Fortunately, when I called the building department and asked them what is the policy or code regarding charred aftermath of a fire, he said, as a rule of thumb, if you can take a screwdriver and stick it in more than 1/4 inch, the wood should be replaced. If not, the wood should be fine. Well, these boards that you see, these joists sticking out, they look like they're 2x4s, when in fact they're the end of a 2x10 joist that goes all the way up the roof. And what they did was they notched out the joist right there at, I think, what's called the mud sill or something like that. So what we're going to do is called sistering, and that's a process where we're going to cut off the end of the rafters or joist right at the wall, and then we're going to make another small notch in that spacing that you see, and take a 2x4 and actually run it up and nail it into the joist further up underneath the roof. And that'll give it the security. So let's go take a look inside. I do have a contractor coming on Monday morning. He's a roofer slash carpenter, and I was told that I could get this done. Well, we'll see how fast it gets done, but I think hopefully this time next week I'll be looking at a roof and a sided house. I did order the window from Home Depot. That cost me about $1,200. I got a bid from somebody that came out for $2,200 installed, and then I found an actually better quality window at Home Depot for about $1,000 less. They're going to drop ship it right there at my door, and I'll just screw it in, hopefully. So today what I'm going to be doing is I've just torn out the ceiling in this shed here, the sheetrock. I just tore that out because it was damaged. But the rest of the wall looks good, so I have a TSP concentrate. I'm going to clean that wall inside that utility closet. I'm going to just clean it. It just has a lot of soot, but no water damage or anything. I'm going to clean that down, and then I'm going to go through and paint a oil-based primer on the inside of these rafters. Just for caution, I'm going to throw a nice coat of oil-based primer in there that'll seal in any unwanted fumes. Interestingly enough, as far as fumes are concerned, I've had a little going on with the neighbor here this past week, and basically the issue was they were representing that after the fire they took off their wall plate in the entryway and there was smoke in it, just a little bit of smoke coming out, or they apparently have a picture of it. But they're claiming that their house is really bad as far as soot and fumes or smoke damage. And I went over there. I didn't smell anything, and I asked a couple other people, and they didn't smell anything either in their unit. So we'll see what's going to happen. They're going to file a claim, and I think, or they're going to sue me, one or the other, and try to get something out of it. I'd be surprised, because they'd have to say that I was negligent with this fire, and we all know that wasn't the case. So anyway, with that being said, let's get to work. Okay, so I've been working on this storage room for the better part of the last hour, hour and a half. And this is where a great deal of the damage was done, or the intensity of the fire, I should say. Interestingly enough, either they didn't use a lot of water, or maybe they just put the fire out pretty quickly. This has fire retardant sheetrock, and you can see the exposed wood there. And I've cut some pieces of fire grade sheetrock that I'm going to put up here in just a moment. I also washed the inside of this with TSP, and then afterwards I rinsed it down, and you can see it does a pretty good job. You know, there's really nothing coming off. A little bit of dust, but anyway, so I'm going to prime this, and then the rafters themselves. The rafters look good. You know, the tails are burned. We'll see about either patching those or trimming those off, or just painting them. I'm going to paint everything in here to help seal the smell in. So with that being said, oh, I also noticed, or I found out, that there is a setup here if I want to put air conditioning in. You can see these tubings. One looks like a water line or something, and then there's electrical, and there's that black one, I think, is the actual where the air goes, the cold air, and it's got wiring coming out. So looks good. Looks good. Okay, so today is Sunday. It's 9 days after the fire, and yesterday I spent the better part of the day working on this storage closet, putting up new sheetrock and tearing out some of the old. I also washed the entire inside of the closet there with TSP and then rinsed it. This morning I took the shop vac and I went up on the top of the roof where I had cut it out. You can see here where I'd cut that out, and I just took the shop vac and I vacuumed out this area in here, and you can see there's not really that much damage. There's some evidence of that there was a fire, but all in all, the wood is the wood's intact and nice and solid. There is one thing that we noticed the other day. If you can see this, those drip lines, that's water coming down, not water going up. And when I talked to the roofer, if you look at this and follow it straight up, it takes you to a downspout, and that downspout is sitting right on the flashing, and the water will come out that, and then it just goes right under that flashing. And I'll show you the inside of the house where I believe that is actually causing some damage. So if we go in the house, I noticed this when I first moved in. If you can see, I'll zoom out a little bit to give you some perspective, but right up there is where that roof line is, and you can see there's damage there, and there's also a little damage over there. So I talked with Mark Anderson of the HOA, and he said to have it fixed and then just submit the bill to the Homeowners Association. So with that being said, what I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to cut off these ends of these joists, cut them flush with the wall, and then I'm going to paint some of the areas with an oil-based primer that'll help prevent any of that smell from coming out. I was also pleased to learn that I have this all set up for air conditioning. If you look in here, there's some lines that come out here, and I guess air conditioning was an optional feature, so I might have some air conditioning put into the unit as well.